So welcome to Disorganized Productions, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a special guest. His name is Alex Pauls. He's coming from Canada, and we have a nice deep conversation already on the Firmamental podcast that I did last week. Alex is one of the co-hosts of the Firmamental, so he is a firmamentalist, just like I am, and a lot of other. And we're going to dig more about who is Alex and what makes him tick today on this podcast. So without further ado, please, Alex, introduce yourself to the public or to the audience.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, like Rob said, I'm Alex Pauls. I'm one third of the Firmamental podcast. I'm also one half of KP Design, which is my day job until I become a famous podcaster like Joe Rogan. And me and Raul take Firmamental on the road and make it the #1 podcast in the world. But yeah, I got 45 years old. I have 2 daughters. I have a really cute dog, and I've been married for almost 25 years. And yeah, I live in Canada. As much as I'd love to live in somewhere nice and warm, right now I live in Canada. So
okay, and there's something going on with this dog, right? Because I heard it on a podcast a few times. He's very cute, isn't he?
Oh, I love him. Yes, it took me a little while. Like, I had cats for a long time. I love my cats, but man, now that I have this dog for 5 years, I'm like, this is like my best friend. I love this guy.
Cool. What kind of dog is it?
He's a Pomeranian and a Husky cross, so he's like a mini Husky.
Okay, mini Husky, cool.
Yeah, so he's like perfect for Netherlands, Sweden, Finland. Like, he's perfect for living up there and playing in the snow.
Aha. And we have some time difference. At my time CET, it's now well, say 5:15. What's your time right now, Alex?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, on a Saturday morning.
So your day is going to start. My day is already almost gone. Okay, cool. So KP Design. I saw some interesting things, and you're doing this job together with your wife.
That's correct. Yes.
And you're also an author of one book of a few books together with your wife.
So my wife and I, we wrote one book together, and then we also co-authored another book called Partners in Everything with 2 other couples, and it's about running a business with your partner.
Aha, because that's something that a lot of people would say, oh my God, I'm not going to run my business with my wife. I'm stuck with her for all my life, and now she's going to be in business also. But it works really great with you guys because you got some great chemistry going on.
Yeah, we do totally different aspects of the job. But I always say, like, the most fun that I have is the parts where we do get to work together, when we have our meetings with our clients, when we have our reveal meetings of the websites or the brands, and seeing the reactions of people when it's almost like being on Price is Right, and they open up the curtains and there's a brand new car. That's kind of like the reaction that people get. And it's, to me, that's such a it really warms my heart when I see a lot of the beautiful creative things my wife makes and how it makes people feel and react, and then they're proud to, show their business on the internet with the brand and the website that she's created.
Okay. So she's more into the details, like say the website and design. You're more into the marketing and SEO and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, so I do the SEO, the Google Analytics. So I've always had a big math and science background. So when I joined working with her, I really wanted to bring the things that I love into this job. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I went on LinkedIn and I figured out something that would be very interesting for me to do. And I looked at guys that were working in website companies and certain roles, not web designer, because we already had a web designer, right? So what else were guys doing? Oh, they're doing SEO, they're doing Google Ads. And then I would back engineer, this guy has these certificates, this guy has this schooling. And I would go and I would take these classes that these other people did. So I would go on like Skillshare, YouTube, Google University, Moz Academy, Moz Academy was very good for anybody who wants to learn a lot about SEO. Man, that is just a wealth of knowledge. So
Okay.
if you want to get into the field of SEO, and before we started this recording, I was telling Rob how it's always changing. So for somebody like me, it's sometimes it's frustrating, but at the same time, I get bored very easy. So I am in a great space because it's constantly changing and I don't have a chance to get bored. I have to keep learning. And as much as I get mad and I want to just be like relaxing and being perfect and an expert, there's always something new to learn from somebody or some other program out there. So it's for me, it's a blessing in disguise, even though some days it's like, oh, I gotta learn something new. But that's what actually keeps me young and keeps my brain sharp. So
Mhm.
it's a for me, it's the perfect type of industry to be in.
Okay, and what's it called? Moz? Can you spell it?
Moz, Moz Academy.
Academy. Okay.
And Skillshare is actually very good. Skillshare is almost like Netflix for education. So there's a whole bunch of different courses on there, and you can pick whatever you need. And man, I always tell my daughters, like my daughters are 15 and 12. I said, if you want to learn anything, just go on this Skillshare. And I said, like you could be homeschooled, work at school for 2 or 3 hours, and then work your job. Like they could already have a job with the things that they can learn on
Yeah.
because kids nowadays are super smart. Like I'm trying to convince my daughters to just be homeschooled so that they can start working and making money, and they could get a car, they could go shopping, they could do whatever they want, and
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And I think in this digital area that we live in, it's we still have, not always, but we still have a lot of knowledge that we can just type into Google or whatever browser that you working with, and you're going to have this education by yourself. Especially for me, I'm an ADHD. I just want to get my endorphin and my things going on in my head. So if I have a question, I want to know the answer
mm-hmm,
directly,
mm-hmm,
because it's going to feed um, my span, my mind, and
right.
um, and even on Google, on YouTube, if you want to know how to fix a tire from your bicycle, you just have to dig in, and you can see how people do it, and yeah, I think it's one of the greatest things that we have right now, and hopefully it will be there forever. But I think that it's going to be less and less, and eventually maybe it's going to close down because people are getting too much knowledge for for the rulers of this world to to free themselves, because they're free themselves of sheep. They're turning into wolves, and they don't want that.
Oh, sure. And yeah, that's something that I worry about too, is the digital book burning. So I've been trying to increase my physical library, get as many books as I can, and read as much as I can. And that's something that I did want to talk to you about, because I was thinking last night, I'm like, what do I want to talk about with Rob today? And I wanted to talk about the creative zone of our geniuses.
Mhm.
And I think you and me are very similar, where we love to learn new things, all sorts of different things, right? Like I get bored very easy.
Mhm.
And I think one of the worst qualities about myself is that I take for granted the things that I am a genius at.
Mhm.
I was an electrician for 15 years, power electrician, and I could do anything. I could wire your house up. I can do anything with electricity at all. And I take that for granted. I walk around and I'm like, anybody could probably do that.
Uh-huh.
And and in my mind, and then when I do things for people, when I do some side jobs or when I help someone, I go over and I fix something, they look at me like I'm this superhero. And I just like, oh wow, to see that look in someone's eye when you're in your genius zone and you're like impressing them
Uh-huh.
with something that you think is like no big deal.
Uh-huh.
Your genius zone is like, to me, the easiest thing to take for granted. It's like the no big deal thing. It's like, oh, I can juggle electricity with my bare hands, no big
Uh-huh.
deal.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And and then somebody is looking at me like I'm like from another planet,
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
this. How does this guy know all these things? Uh, it's an interesting thing. And I would say that that's one of my weaknesses because I'm always trying to, how do I say it? I am always looking for something new to learn because
Uh-huh.
I get bored so easy. But
Yeah.
if I just stayed in my genius zone, I would probably be even better at the things that I'm already really good at.
And one of the things, and I can really relate to that, one of the things that's the hardest part is to know that you're an expert on this field, and eventually, if you're an entrepreneur, to ask money for it because it's so familiar for you to share this information because it's just like, oh, make a website, that's it. And other
Yeah.
people will say, oh yeah, I make websites. I ask 15,000 euros for a website. Just like, what? But if you're so familiar with that, and it's just it's your humankind, your being, to teach others or to say, okay, there's no big deal. It's oh great, man. You just saved me 50 euros or whatever it's going to be. And to ask money for the knowledge that you have, I think that's one of the hardest parts. Yeah, for me. For me.
Sure. Sure. There's an interesting story that I love, and it's this really old man, and he's a handyman, and he walks into this house because these people, their floor is driving them crazy. Every time they're walking on the floor, it's squeaking and squeaking and squeaking, and they're at the point where they want to just tear their house apart and just like rip out all the floor and put new floor in, just because the whole house is driving them crazy because of this squeaking sound. And the man, he walks in and he 2 minutes. And he's like, okay. And he takes a nail and a hammer and he goes, boom. And he fixes it all. And he
Uh-huh.
says, that'll be $5,000. And they look at him. I'm like, are you crazy? $5,000? He's like, they're like, it took you 2 minutes to do that. He's like, yeah, but it took me 30 years to learn how to do that in 2 minutes.
Oh, oh yeah. That's a great one.
Right.
Because somebody
It's
has to dig into some stuff to get knowledge and to solve the problem as soon as possible.
right.
And that's one
But
of the
so
things
many
that
people equate value with time. And that's
yeah,
not necessarily like it's not my wife's fault if she can do a website in 5 hours and charge $10,000.
yeah,
I mean, 20 years ago, it might take her 40 or 50 hours to do the same thing,
sure.
right? And it took 20 something years of getting better and better and learning and like, but people don't equate that, right?
Yeah.
And it's very hard for regular people like me to be in a cubicle and making $20, $30 an hour, and I trade my time for this $20 an hour. But when
Mhm.
you're an entrepreneur or you're selling packages that are not time specific, it's expertise specific. That's what most of the public, they can't wrap their head around that because they're
Mm,
so busy trading their time for money,
exactly. And
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 they're
this
not. Yeah.
and it's one of the things that we talked about before, this digital area. This is something that it's only there for 15, maybe 20 years now. That you can dig into some stuff that you're interested in, and you can get all the information probably that you want to have, and you can, like I said, with Skillshare or something like that, you can eventually build a business or graduate in some totally new stuff, except for going outside, go by bus to another town and to get to some college or stuff like that, and to learn something 8 hours a day, something like that. You can do it in your own free time.
Hmm.
And that's really, I think that's really one of the things that people underestimate, um, how easy it is to get knowledge today, and to work on yourself and to develop yourself with the things that we have right now. Just like in a click, you can get into Google, and you got all the information that you wanted, that you got.
Right. I think one of the important things for entrepreneurs to know is Yeah, when you're first starting out, you have to wear all these different hats. You have to do the
Hmm.
accounting, you have to do the sales, you have to do the actual work, that this job that you're creating. This is your genius zone, what you do. But there's all these different things. But as you make money and as you grow, before you're even ready, that's when you need to hire somebody to
Mm.
take that hat off of your head, so you're not balancing 50 hats, right? You need to add people. You know enough. Let's say Rob knows enough about websites and SEO, but now he has to focus on growing the business. He doesn't have time to be a full-time web guy or SEO guy. He needs to hand that off to somebody he can trust.
Mm.
He needs to hand off the accounting to a bookkeeper because he just doesn't have time. Like, and he's not an expert at that. And then he has to hopefully one day hire a marketing company to help fill it, right? And
Yeah,
then it's funny, as entrepreneurs, we love doing the job, and you can keep doing that. But if you want to really grow a business, you have to become the owner and then actually hand your own job that you love doing off to somebody that you can trust for them to do the job and for you to guide the ship. Like, you have
exactly.
this big ship with this crew now,
Yeah.
and you're no longer the employee. You're no longer the guy working. You're the captain of the ship, and
Yeah.
you're helping the whole crew, and you've actually helped feed a lot of different families. Like, small business entrepreneurs are very important people.
Mm. Exactly. And I think one of the greatest things about being an entrepreneur is that you learn so much, so many things. And sometimes you think, oh man, why should I dig into this, into accounting or sales or whatever? But in the end, when you're the captain of the ship, you know what process it takes to get some things done. And when you know the processes, and even if you don't know anything about it, but a little bit, you know, okay, this is going to take me so much time or my team so much time. So, okay, okay. And if they're talking BS about, you know, it's going to cost you $5,000 for SEO and stuff like that, you can say, oh, wait a minute. I had some great contacts on LinkedIn, and I got some great contacts on my podcast show, like Alex Paul. He's an SEO expert. Okay, it can cost you that, but what I'm going to get for it? What's in it for me? And then you can say, wait a minute, this is not fair enough. So you can eventually, because you got the knowledge from the things that you know, you know how to how to spread your money into a good account, so you can say, okay, we are going with the ship to an easy on easy waters, instead
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
oh, there's a goddamn storm ahead, and that's called a financial storm, or a team that's, you know, I work a lot with people on Fiverr, which worked great for me. But I know some people that spend a lot of money and they didn't get anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also one of the things, right? Because in this digital area that we live in, we have some very great things that can teach us and help us, and there are some scammers on the way too. And that's one thing you have to learn. And sometimes you have to pay for a you have to pay for some expertise, and to know, okay, I can talk to this guy right away on the phone or whatever. So because we're more and more into this, locked into this little, yeah, cage. Because when the lockdown started, one thing they did for sure was to connect everyone to the internet. So we had the Zoom coming up, and meet up and stuff like that went later. But Zoom was something like, okay, you can connect, you can talk to people business wise. So your boss can tell you, okay, you got to connect with your computer at 8 o'clock so I can watch you all. Just like Big
Right.
Brother, you know, okay, oh, well, Rob's
Yeah.
going to get some coffee, and Alex is going to drink some tea. That's okay. But hey, Alex, this is your third cup and this, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
also the interactive, we can do things much more easy. Um, Alex, your wife Katie, um, it's also one of your first loves, right? You've been together now for 24 years.
We've actually been together for almost 30 years now. We met we
Wow.
met when we were so I'm like maybe the weirdest person you might know now. I We met when we were 15,
Thank God.
and I got hit with this lightning bolt, and like time stops, and it's like I'm seeing this person, and it's just I don't know. I wish everybody could experience this at least once in their life. And luckily, because I am not that brave of a man, I went to school with her. So I didn't have to like it wasn't like at a concert and then I didn't have the guts to talk to her, right? At
Uh-huh.
least I saw her, which was weird. It was almost a full year before I even really like saw her or noticed her. And my school wasn't that big, but yeah, I just like saw her and it was like love at first sight, and somehow I got the courage to talk to her, and we've been together ever since. And
Wow.
yeah, so yeah, it's 30 years now, but we've been married for about 25. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's something that you don't hear a lot nowadays because everybody is getting into this. Yeah, what's the hopping on a train and hopping to relationships and stuff like that, especially the younger
Yeah,
generation,
yeah.
I think. That
I
it's
blame
crazy.
shows like Jerry Seinfeld and like
Oh
Friends.
yeah.
When
Jared,
I
yeah.
watched that Jerry Seinfeld show and I'm watching this, I'm like, why is everybody breaking up for the dumbest reasons?
Yeah.
It's like you spend all this energy and all this effort, and then you break up, and they don't even care. It's like no big deal. It's like, well, whatever. We live in New York. I'll just go find somebody else. And for me,
Yeah.
like, I can't imagine having to be brave again. Like if something happened to my wife and I had to go date,
Uh-huh.
I would be terrified right now. Like I can't imagine like dating
Because you
now.
never
Like
did.
what's that?
Because you never did.
Well, I did. I mean, we dated for 5 years. I still have to be, hey, Rob,
Yeah.
you know how hard you got to work to keep a woman interested in you for 30 years? You got to work really hard. You got to be an amazing man. You cannot be,
100%.
you cannot be this dying slob on the couch. If
No.
you, if you want your kids to look at you like a superhero, if you want your wife to look at you like a superhero, you read books, you exercise, you do podcasts, I do jujitsu, I ride a motorcycle. You make yourself the most amazing person that you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the secret. Like right there, we can just stop the podcast after this because I'm giving
The
everybody
secret, guys. That was the
this is the
secret.
secret sauce. Because as soon as you start taking your partner for granted that they have to
It's
love
gone.
you, it's over.
Yeah.
Because your partner doesn't have to love you. Maybe
No.
your kids might love you no matter what. You can be kind of a screw up, but your partner can dump you at any point. Like they don't
Yeah.
have to have unconditional love for you. And I'm okay knowing that, because if my wife is not interested in me anymore because I don't care about myself or I stop taking care of myself, that's my fault.
Hmm.
That's not her fault.
Wow. Yeah. That's cool. And I just wanted to dig into that because you do yoga also just to get away from the pain that you get from jiu-jitsu, right?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. At jujitsu at 45, I call it the meat grinder. And I started to do yoga to try and like counteract all the shoulder problems and the back problems and the leg problems. And
Mm-hmm.
it's everything is good exercise, right? And I love jujitsu because it's like it's like a game. It's like playing chess with the body.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you've ever done it, but
You
it's very interesting, and I love that kind of stuff. But it's funny because I have a disconnect between my mind and my body. It might be because I'm older now, but my mind tells my body to do something, and it takes a lot longer for that thing to happen than a young guy.
Oh,
That like some of the young guys I wrestle with, it's like, man, they're just doing all these crazy things, and I
you're
noticed that
thinking
I
about it, but your body doesn't. Okay. Well,
yeah.
I did quite some judo,
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
kickboxing, Thai boxing. I did it. I think it was. 42, 43 when I came to the doctor, and he said, Rob, you're much too old to do this shit. And I said, I just love it, man. I got to keep on going. And
Judo is crazy, Rob. I got
yeah,
much respect for you. For anybody that's doing judo out there, much respect, because that is not an
I
easy
loved
sport.
it. I loved it. Especially because it's not only the up work, but also the body work and the groundwork. When somebody's get down, you can do some things. And I actually I did some quite some Krav Maga.
Oh
There's
wow.
some really crazy things going on with there where when um, they had it in a discotheque, so you have some scenarios that are going on, so how to deal with aggressive people, and if they are aggressive, because you don't
Mhm.
know. And I had a really crazy Czech, it was in Czechia, I think it's called, in Czechoslovakia. We had
Yeah.
a extreme weekend, and it was training in bunkers and in trains and with guns. I had a gun permission on that time, and so I trained a little bit more. It was awesome, awesome. And I always trained with all the stuff that I did to when I'm going to get into a situation that maybe I can save myself and the ones that I love. Not
Mhm.
not to brag like, oh man, I'm this judo guy, or I know kickboxing, so I'm gonna kick your ass. No, no, wait, that's not the mindset. It's something like, okay, when the shit goes down, maybe I can save myself from getting hurt or the people that I love,
Mhm.
especially with Krav Maga. It's like action reaction, and I really like that. And I had some really blue black bruises and stuff like that, because it's everybody can learn it, like little children until the age of, well, that's 80, 90, depends on, of course, on your condition, on your body condition, on your mindset and stuff like that. But everybody can learn it, because most things are integrated from jiu-jitsu, from judo, from Thai boxing. All the stuff is integrated, um, and it's basically when somebody's grabbing you by the neck, you, you're going you're going there anyways with your hands, because you want to, because that's the point where yeah, maybe your life is going to depend on it. But
Right.
what then? And that's really crazy. It's really cool to learn. And
And it's important to train to have the the reflexes, right?
mm,
Like you want to be able for your brain to shut down and your body to just know what to do. That's why we train, right?
yes, yes, because otherwise you got this tunnel vision. And
Hmm.
it doesn't matter if you see, for example, if you see a boxing match, these guys are boxing like 20 years, 30 years, they're heavyweights, and just look it up on YouTube. When they have a real fight, so when they disagree with each other, they're not gonna box. They're just gonna go smashing around, and there's nothing like, okay, okay, I'm gonna hit you in the head like they do in normal times with boxing. No, they're just like, it's a street fight thing. And that's because they're mentally shut down. Because when you're doing boxing, you're playing a game, you have rules. When you do judo, you have rules. It's
Hmm.
when you see somebody in a normal fight on a club, on a bar, whatever, you can directly see what they trained on. Because when they're standing like this, it's probably some Thai boxing guy, so you know he's good with his feet.
Yeah.
When they say, when you see how they move around, what kind of thing that they probably were into. But
Hmm.
with Krav Maga, your body defense is like, hey man, stop, this is my defense, boom, you got one. Or I can go to the left, to the right, whatever. And that's it's just mindset, and it's really, it's cool to learn, but I hope I will never ever have to use it in my life.
And I like to think that any of us that have trained in any kind of martial arts, we're not going out there and starting fights,
No.
right? Like anybody that's disciplined and hopefully isn't drunk or doing something stupid. But anybody that's actually disciplined and is trained under a sensei or their master, like you're representing your dojo or you're representing your teacher.
Hmm.
And when you go out, it's kind of like that was our philosophy in our dojo, is like when you go out into the community, you are an amazing community member that can help protect other community members
Hmm.
because of the things that you know. And I really like that idea. I really like that concept that I don't have to be some hotshot or whatever, but I can
Uh-huh.
help.
Yeah.
If something's going on, I can at least carry myself well. And one of the things I loved about martial arts, and especially jujitsu, is I didn't realize how big certain people are until you got your hands on them or they got their hands on you. And wow, like after doing that for a year and a half, I was like, wow, I can really tell the size difference, because
Uh-huh.
I'm about 180 pounds, about what is that, 70 kilos.
Yeah.
And so if somebody's about 100 kilos, that's a big difference already.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I have to like look and figure out this person a lot differently, you
Hmm.
know. And they're a lot slower, but they're a lot bigger and stronger. And then the smaller guys are a lot quicker and faster, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm just this like middle guy. I'm slow, kind of strong, kind of weak. I don't know. I'm just like the middle of everything. But it was interesting. But I think everyone should have martial arts training. I think everyone should have like first aid and CPR training as well,
Hmm.
because these two things, like I've actually used a lot of first aid and CPR. Like anytime I've ever responded to uh, a car accident, like I don't know if you've ever been like the first person on a scene and there's blood everywhere. And
No, no, not yet.
so
Thankfully.
you really find out what kind of person you are
How to
when you
deal with stress and stuff like that.
right. So I've been in situations where I've seen someone's entire leg cut off, and
Huh.
I like I don't panic. I know who I am. You call 911. You make sure that the ambulance gets here. I'm doing something with this person.
Uh-huh.
Right away, I shut down. There's no panic. Like my daughter, she fell one time. This is even less extreme, but like my daughter, it's harder for your own family, right? But my daughter, she fell. She broke her two front teeth. There was blood everywhere. And I
Uh-huh.
just like calmed right down. And I told her to look at me, and I'm like, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. I didn't even know. I don't know how to treat those things, but I told my wife, like, do this, 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 get the ice. And it's very interesting. Not everybody has that, right? But it's
Mm.
cool. It's cool to find out about yourself in extreme situations,
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
like in a fight or in an emergency. Like you want to be able to take care of the ones that you love, whether it's first aid or whether it's physical defense, right?
Yeah. And in this world that we live in, we could have more and more situations where something like that comes up. You have to defend yourself, or you have to, well, dig up the bones. Just taking care of the shit that's going on.
Sure,
That
yeah.
and I think that there are more things um, that relate us with only like nature. When you see the seasons of nature, you see sometimes it's rough times like in autumn, and in winter it could be very harsh and stuff like that. But it's also with the situations that we're going to get in. If you're getting into a situation, just like you said, if somebody uh, you go to a grocery store and somebody trips and falls and breaks something or whatever, or there's a lot of blood involved. Uh, Now you look at some action moves and you say, "Oh yeah, there was a great fight and they were shooting." Yeah, except when you're directly into that shit in real
Yeah.
life. What's happening? Are you shutting down? Are you running away? The fight and freeze, I think it's called.
Fight, what is it, fight and flight? Yeah.
Fight and flight, yeah, exactly. So how does your body react? Because you can train for 100 years, but if something really, when the shit hits the fan, and anxiety and everything builds up, well, how you react? Do you still
Yeah.
react what you trained, or is it just totally blank?
Yeah.
Hmm.
The, that's a good exercise to have, right? And I think I actually think Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu together would be incredible
Oh
because
yeah.
Krav Maga is you being, like you said, like almost like a neutral stance. You're not trying to instigate a fight.
Nope.
But if somebody comes to get you, you can help with the distance. You can help with them. But if they do manage to get their hands on you, now we have some jujitsu time, right? It's
Yeah,
like they want to
yeah,
put their
yeah.
hands on you. All right, let's play,
And it's
right?
also with integrated with Krav Maga. So judo, jiu-jitsu, all
Yeah.
the Asian basic stuff. It's integrated into Krav Maga. And one of the things that you called before, it's really we do the 360. So we have defense system like 360,
Mhm.
and so basically it's bone to bone. And when you have a
Oh,
guy from 100 kilograms, he has a great hit. But when the hit strikes the bone, you're just like, oh, a cushion. But when there's this skinny little guy from 65 kilograms hitting you with the, it's just like whoa, somebody's just like
yeah.
somebody's with a can or something like that. It's crazy,
It's
crazy.
sharper, right? It's sharper.
Yeah, yeah, it's sharper exactly. And
Yeah.
yeah, I've been bruised pretty bad up, and I like that.
It's not
It's
so
some
bad,
kind of
right?
no, it's some kind of masochism or how you call it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Somehow, because after training, it was really it was always fun. I always liked to train, and when I um, um, when I moved, I didn't have my boxing sack. I always had a boxing sack when I was with my wife. I had a boxing sack in the attic, and when we lived in a house like two houses in one. It's called two under one roof.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I know
and
what you
when I
mean.
was practicing, the neighbors first time came, just like, whoa, you hear what's happening? Everything is wrinkling. Oh no, Rob is training upstairs.
Just throwing bodies everywhere.
Yeah, but I loved it just to go, after whatever day, I went up 5 minutes just on a sack, just like pop, 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 and get
Yeah.
all my aggression out. And I came down just like totally relaxed, you know.
And that's what I love about jujitsu is it doesn't matter how crappy your day is going. When you go to jujitsu, you can't think about the things that are bothering you.
Hmm.
You have to be there. You have to be in the present. So to me, I'm always worrying about the future. I'm worrying about the past. I'm always worrying about something. As an entrepreneur, I'm always thinking about something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really nice to go into the martial arts studio and just focus for an hour and a half and exercise and feel, and then you feel so good afterwards. You have this amazing workout. But yoga is the opposite.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I have this love-hate relationship with yoga because I go there and it forces me to be in my mind. And I
Mm-hmm.
have to really like, there's two things that yoga does. It makes me realize what's actually bothering me because I slow down enough to where I can focus on the thing in my subconscious that's actually bothering me, not the other things,
Uh-huh.
groceries, something sick, whatever. It forces me to focus on the thing that is bothering me. And then when you're starting to do the movements, you can, when you start to get annoyed, I don't know if you do yoga, Rob, but this is what happens to me. But when I'm doing it and all of a sudden I'm stretching something out and I start getting frustrated and I start getting mad and I don't know why. And you find out that that's actually where you're storing some of these things that are really bothering you in your body.
Aha.
And it's different. Like it pisses me off and it forces me to think about it and I have to feel it and I have to breathe it out. And then it leaves. It like kind of magically leaves.
Uh-huh.
And it's a funny thing because I hate it. Like I hate going through that because I love the jujitsu thing where I just like I accidentally get rid of the things that are pissing me off, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but in yoga, you have to like deal with the shit.
And you have to deal with yourself, with your
You
own
have to,
capacity.
yeah, you have to deal with yourself, and then you're fixing yourself, you're fixing your mind, you're fixing your body, you're fixing your breathing, and you're totally focusing on your body. And to me, it's like I said, it's miserable, but afterwards I'm so grateful because
Mm.
I would have never found it if I wouldn't have done those things.
Uh-huh.
And that, to me, that's such a gift, right? That's such a gift to find that little piece of shit in your, like, in your
Yeah, yeah.
back, the thing that's bothering you, and like squeezing it out and getting rid of it. And
Oh,
okay, now I feel better. I don't know why I felt bad, but I was keeping something there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
I
did
was like,
some yoga in the past, but nowadays not that much. And as an entrepreneur, and I'm building my business now for 2 years. I noticed that in every what my birthday is on the 6th of February, and that's what I count back from what did I do last year. You know, what things did I screw up? What things did I do good? What's my focus for next year? So somehow that's my year. So basically, and
mhm.
sometimes you see something. What I saw is I screwed up with my body. Went to the hospital and stuff like that. Okay, I have to be more aware of my body, so work on my body. But then after 3 months or 4 months or whatever, I dig down a little bit. Okay, now I'm feeling great and stuff like that, and look in the mirror and you see the results. But hey, mentally, there's something going on mentally or emotionally or spiritually, and you have to find this balance. And yin and yang is the balance in life, but
Mhm.
it's not always like that perfect circle. But because I think when the circle is really perfect, you go to heaven. You're done here, because there's always something um, that has to flow instantly, like a balance, and that's what
Yeah,
I really like. And talking about balance, and we talked about it before on the Firmamental podcast, which we're going to dig in a little bit more in a few minutes. But um, we were talking about balance and Zen and the art of motorcycling, because that's also one thing that you really like to do, right? Riding your motorcycle.
I do. I love it. It's yeah, to me, it's one of the greatest things. And my dad still gets mad at me for having a motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I told him, I said, Dad, I don't think you understand. When I bought my motorcycle, I made an oath with my wife that I was not going to die on it and that I would not do anything stupid. And so
Uh-huh.
far, I haven't done anything stupid and I haven't died. So I'm
Okay.
keeping my end of the bargain.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
now
yeah, yeah, yeah.
she loves the motorcycle more than I do. So
Well, what kind of motorcycle do you have, Alex?
it's a Yamaha F-07
Mm.
27. So that's a fun bike. But my next bike is going to be a Honda Goldwing. I know it's an old man bike, but I don't care. It's going to be style and profile. I'm going to go all the way across Canada, all through America, come back. It's going to be amazing. I need a
Wow.
big, beautiful bike to do that.
Well, I gotta say, I'm living in a very dense part of the world, in the Netherlands. So if you're running out of gas here, you're really plain stupid. I mean,
Right.
I mean, if I would make a documentary on Discovery, these guys are, all right, you want to survive in this and this, you walk through 2 miles to that or to that, to the north or to the west in the Netherlands, and you find something, maybe McDonald's, a grocery store, or a house.
Yeah.
If you don't survive here, you're really plain stupid. But I can imagine if you're living in Canada, and we were talking about before, like the density of population in the Netherlands and in Canada, because you had 30 million people in
38 million people.
38
38.
million people in whole Canada.
Yeah. So I think every person in Canada can have 150 square kilometers to themselves.
What?
Isn't it? I can't even imagine that. Like just trying to think about 150 square kilometers. That's amazing.
It's
There,
unbelievable.
there's parts on my bike where I actually worry because when I go out riding in the mountains, I only have about 220 kilometer range on my motorcycle.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's a spot where I think it's 180 kilometers. There's nothing. Not like nothing.
Oh, that would really mess my mind, man.
Yeah. Like no
That is
towns, not even a gas station, nothing. 180
nothing.
kilometers. Just road.
And you got the Sasquatch sitting there and the bears well
Yeah, we
not
definitely have bears. Yeah. I've been on my motorcycle in traffic on the road because people stopped to watch grizzly bears on the side of the road.
and you
I've
stop.
I've actually been on my motorcycle and we have these I don't know how familiar you are with like have you ever seen like a bighorn sheep? It's like a ram. You know
Oh
what a ram?
yeah, yeah.
So this is like a giant goat on steroids and it's about the size of a car. And I've actually been on my motorcycle and they've been on the road eating. They eat gravel for their stomach, like to help them digest.
Okay.
So I'll ride by them and I'm so close that I can like reach out and touch it. That's how that's how close I've been to some of these animals and bears and like I said, I've
But
had
hey man, you wear a helmet and you got some gloves on, so what the hell could happen, right?
right? Yeah, no, you're fine. It's
Oh,
animals are nice unless you mess with their babies, right?
yeah, that's true. That's true. But
But
I really can't imagine because I have been traveling something. So I went to Brazil for business. It was a business trip, but I
oh,
saw
cool.
some. Yeah, it was really cool. Went to Spain, well, to several countries. But there was nothing like, well, maybe in Germany that you drive 50 kilometers, that there's nothing, there's only nature. But
Mhm, mhm.
I couldn't, like you said well, last week when we jumped into, before we jumped into the podcast for the firmamental, you said you can drive here for hours and hours to without seeing anyone.
Oh yeah. If I would love for you to come visit here. It would blow your mind. Like I have cousins in Germany and they've come to visit too, and they love the outdoors, the space,
Oh, I would love it
I
too,
say
man.
it's not so peoply. There's not so many people, but
I
like
like that.
from Calgary, so from Calgary to Vancouver, that's the next big city. That's like 10 hours of driving. 10 hours. So how far can you drive in 10 hours where you are? Like how
Well,
far
I
would
will
you
be
get?
probably in Sweden.
Right. Right. Yeah. Like it's so funny. Like I drove from Worms, Germany to Switzerland
Yeah.
and I couldn't believe like how amazing Switzerland is. Like the mountain tunnels that they have
Yeah, it's
there. I'm like,
cool.
how did they do this? Because they don't do that here in Canada. Like, I mean, we have mountains here, but
Yeah.
we don't drill through them. We like go around them
Okay, cool.
and in Switzerland, they're just like, screw it, we're going through. Like we're being a
Yeah. And unbelievable, like 10 kilometers, just like tunnels with all
yeah.
this. And friends of us, they live in Switzerland. And I was looking at a documentary because uh, I had a connection with a guy who's building bunkers in America, and he's providing them now to Europe because the war's going on now. A lot of people are worried and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he went to the biggest bunker in Switzerland, and even the government and the military didn't knew that it was built. It can house 10,000 people.
Wow.
So when they get in 10,000, they lock the door, and it could provide, I think, 1 or 2 years without anything from above. There was electricity, there was food, place. Amazing. And it was for sale, I think. It was for
Wow.
sale for like, wow, a few millions, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and there are a lot of bunkers in Switzerland that you don't know that are bunkers, because you see a house on a prairie, but it's not a house, it's a bunker.
Oh, interesting.
And you see some like rocks on a mountain, but it's a screen. It's a bunker inside.
Really?
Yeah, you have to dig into that shit. It's really just like, whoa,
Oh, it's like
what the?
Afghanistan except fancy, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. What about that? There was this guy in Afghanistan. It's called Bin Laden,
Oh yeah, I think
and
I've heard of it.
they searched for him for most 3 years, I think, or 4 years. And
Yeah.
you know what? We had a picture like 1 megapixel that's proof that it's going to be Bin Laden, and we gave him. Now it comes, folks. We gave him a sea funeral.
Mm, that's funny.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
A guy who lives in the mountains who never probably saw the sea. Well, I know probably we know a little bit more about this guy because he was a CIA agent and stuff like that. He
Yeah.
probably saw some sea. But how crazy is that? That you give someone who lives in Afghanistan or in the mountains a sea funeral. If
You
you,
know,
yeah,
if I was Osama bin Laden, I would be really pissed off that I had to be the fall guy for 9/11. Like
mm,
really, like I don't want to be remembered that that's a big like even let's say he's alive. Let's say he's alive with Epstein. They're living somewhere magical. They're having this great. I still wouldn't want to be like, oh, everybody thinks that I did it. Like, really? Like, why do I got to be the bad guy? Meanwhile,
yeah,
the U.S. government is like demolishing their own buildings, and if I don't know. To me, it's like you either can see it or you can't see it, right? There's
yeah,
just
but
people who refuse to believe it, but there is no way that Osama bin Laden did
no.
that stuff, orchestrated that stuff. They just needed some boogeyman. Uh, and then, oh my goodness, I feel so bad for the Muslim people that we all ended up having to hate because that's
Mm,
all they did was on the news
yeah, watch
24/7.
out for the Muslims.
Watch out for the Muslims. Watch out for the Muslims. Here they come. They're going to blow this up. When I went to Europe in 2017, the Muslims were renting vans and then driving through the streets and running people over. And it's like, oh my goodness. And that's now we can get into the fundamental stuff. But
Mhm.
once you start seeing what the news does and what the governments do and who they hire as actors to get us all, they're energy vampires. They want to take our energy,
They
and
harvest it.
they want us to hate. They want us
Mhm.
to hate each other. They want us to separate us into groups. And the more you put the glasses on and see what's happening, the more free you become.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh
this
yeah.
whole Israel and Palestine thing right now, I have no, it's awful. I feel bad for any innocent people that are dying, but
Mhm.
I am giving no energy at all to it. I can actually feel that I don't give any energy to that. Whereas
Mhm.
my younger self, I would be like hot on the inside. Like,
Oh, oh, me 5 years ago, before I went to the hospital and it took out 35 centimeters of my intestines, I would, I would be a raging doll of everything that I sucked in from the news. I had an opinion directly, subjective, not objective, thinking about what could be, you know, what's happening. So let me get the facts and make my own truth and say, okay, probably I think this is that. No, no, no. Just like my veins were pumping up for everything that I digged in. And then I started to realize when I was in the hospital and I was searching the stuff up that I liked, and I just like, oh wow, this is interesting. And I did my meditation stuff, and I did my Wim Hof stuff and stuff like that. I went totally different man. Even my, and it's just it's a process that's still going on. So
mhm.
sometimes my girlfriend, she has to say, oh wait, hold it, Rob, wait, okay, deep, take a deep breath.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know you're now on this and that spot, and you have to be on that one. So she's very good in balancing me back. But 5 years ago, 6 years ago, oh man, I was furious and anger about everything in the goddamn world,
Oh,
everything.
sure. Even during COVID, I can't believe like I was ready to go to Ottawa and burn Ottawa down. because I was
Yeah.
so mad at our government. I was so mad at everything. And I'm like, man, this is so, what good is that doing? Right? What good
Mm,
is that doing? So to take it back, it's like, how can you and I be the best version of ourselves and then go out into our communities and make our community a better place? That's what we can control. That's what we can do.
exactly.
If that crap wants to come to your town or that crap wants to come to my town, okay, well, then we have to get up off the bench and we have
Hmm.
to do something. Then we have to do something.
Yeah. I
And
I think one of the biggest things that really, well, not one of them, because I got a lot of things that going on that I have to dig into deeper, and probably this podcast is going to last for 1.5 hours, but I could talk hours about this stuff. But what really noticeable is I was driving through Germany, Austria, and Switzerland for more than 10 years, and I was 25 years on the road as a salesman, right? So
mhm,
I saw a lot of infrastructure on roads and stuff like that. Well, what happened when this Vaxi scam happened is that all these 5G towers, now you can drive 100 meters, you see another one.
yep.
200 meters, you see another one. If the shit is going to get down, burn these things. I think that's the first thing we got to do. Control what they think they have in control, because that's I think that something has to do with their communication and about stuff that they're sending to us or whatever it's going to be. So I think when the shit really hits the fan, okay, you screwed it up, we're going to screw you up too, because when you don't can communicate.
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I notice it because I've been using a phone for a long time, but 5G is not any faster than LTE or 4G or 3G.
Nope.
It's not any faster. If anything, it's worse. I can barely use my phone half the time in my own house. Like it's
I
ridiculous.
I gotta tell you something really crazy about 5G. I never digged into that stuff. I don't want it. 4G, 3G, it's fine with me. I can do all the things that I did for 10 years ago with the same shit. Two,
Yeah.
3, 5. Okay. So I have this Huawei P30 Pro because of this camera. And I was digging into maybe because when business is going get good, maybe I need a new phone, stuff like that. And I go one privately and one for business, and I want to have a Huawei. But in America, it's banned. You can't get a Huawei. In Europe, it's banned. You can't get a Huawei. And you know what article I digged up a week ago? You know why they banned them? Because
But
Huawei
Chinese.
is telling them that they do not want to provide 5G technology in their phones.
Oh, interesting.
Very interesting. So the bad Chinese people, they don't want to have 5G. But if we have to listen to everyone saying in the media and in the news, oh, this country is, with face contraction and face this, and you can't do that, and you can't do that. Maybe, people, maybe it's true. But I wasn't there. I can't tell you if it's true. I don't know what happened 5 kilometers away in the next town and next village. If you make up some things that are not true, if I'm so stupid to believe it, yeah, maybe it could be true.
Well,
But
we had David Beverly on the Firmamental podcast, and he worked for NASA, and he was telling me all sorts of stuff about the flood of AI and how he doesn't even trust any news stories. He says that AI can create its own news stories, and then with the Mockingbird, other news agencies just pick up that story,
oh
and then
yeah,
they just run with it. They don't have the right information. They don't have any information. It's all about getting things out as quick as possible. And who
yeah.
cares if it's correct, or they'll figure that out later and then they'll print a retraction, right?
And what you said before, the things that they are going to provide from the news, they're gonna harvest the consciousness of energy, especially the negative one, to get their things done. Because they can't manifest like we do. If we manifest a great, beautiful, lovely, loving world, they have nothing, and they they are trying. And I think there's a saying here in the Netherlands, a kat in het nauw maakt rare sprongen. And it's when a cat is in danger, he makes really strange jumps. I think it's translated, right? So, and I think you see that. You see things that roll out, and eventually, if you look to the news and you listen to the news, there are a lot of stories like, what the hell happened there? You know, dig into Maui in Luana. What the hell? There are people here that were, the children were taking from the government, more than 1,300 children are still being missed because the government took them away. And you know why? Because the government said they were convicted for fraud. But now it turns out after a few years, oh, it wasn't. It was a screw up from the government. So the people are telling, where are my kids? We don't know.
This was one of my big aha moments in the last 2 years. I never wanted to acknowledge that the devil was real. And when I saw that they can create a vaccine and get everyone vaccinated in the entire world, but they can't get rid of child pornography, and they can't get rid of child trafficking, and they can't get rid of slavery, like human trafficking. They can make a vaccine for everybody, but they can't get rid of this with all the technologies we have. It's because they don't want to get rid of that stuff. And that's how I came to realize that the devil is very, very real. And we live in a very interesting realm where that is allowed to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because of the people that lead us, right? They
should guide us through love and happiness and caring of each other. There's a gas pipe running here for, I think, one is for Putin to get some gas, so he has some. I mean, so you go to our enemy for the gas, you make billions of money you spend into that gas pipe. You go to our enemy and say, okay, you prevent us for the gas. Yeah. Then they created a war. So Putin says, okay, fuck you. And screws it down. I mean, what? 10 years ago, 15 years, maybe 20 years ago, I was asking myself, why is there an oil pipe and a gas pipe to Africa, but not clean water?
Right. Yeah.
And if you dig in that little stuff, people say you're crazy, stuff like that. Okay, that's fine with me. Some say I'm crazy. I'll always be. One of my favorite sentences from Song of Guns N' Roses. But if you dig into that kind of stuff and you're going to get some answers, or you don't get some answers and you dig deeper into it, it's that rabbit hole that we're all in. And please, Alex, tell me more about the Firmamental podcast, so people, the audience that are listening to this podcast, can dig into that stuff either, because I think it's great, but I want to hear it from your words, man.
Well, I think what makes Firmamental amazing is it's not just a conspiracy theory type podcast. It's very much a truth podcast. We're not that we know everything, not that everything we say might be true, and maybe tomorrow we'll find out that it's not. But I love Firmamental because it's about the mind, body, and the spirit, and getting them all as strong as humanly possible. And that's why we have people like Rob Nolkin on the show. And that's why we're going to have some other guests on the show. Like I just booked one of my friends who is into like helping relationships. All these things are very, very important. Your business is important. Being an entrepreneur, being a small business owner like Rob, and us is so important to this world, because if it's the monopolies taking over, we're all screwed. We're all working in a factory.
Mm.
So if anything, we all have to help, take care of each other. Keep our businesses small, keep supporting people in your community. I think Firmamental is amazing because we are building the Avengers of Truth. And the more people that we have come on that are, I hate saying anti-government, because, if I all of a sudden became the Prime Minister of Canada, I know that I wouldn't be perfect,
Mm.
but I sure as heck wouldn't be selling out to China, and I wouldn't be selling out to all these lobbyists. And I would only be the prime minister for like 5 years. Don't pay me anything. And at least we set up a, a structured plan. I'm getting a little bit off topic, but our
Mm.
leaders need to be the most, not that I am this, but I would love to be, and I'm hoping to grow into a man that cannot be corrupted, someone that is, their values are so strong that these are the best of us that are leading, right? And that's not what we're seeing right now. So I think Firmamental does a very good job of talking about the spiritual aspect of our lives as well, talking about the Bible, talking about biblical cosmology, talking about our lives and being real people. I think, you know in the last 2 or 3 days, I've had 3 or 4 people ask me, why is Firmamental so successful? And I don't brag. I don't say it's me. I think Raul is very charismatic. I think that we stay in our genius zones. We
Mm-hmm.
go back to our genius zones, right? Where I love to meet people. One of my genius zones is when Rob Nolkin comes on Firmamental. In the first 10 minutes, he is now my friend. That is my job. If we met in real life, we would hug, we would be going for drinks. And I think that is my superpower. In 10 minutes, I can get Rob Nolkin to be comfortable and be excited to be on the Firmamental podcast and want to tell people about it. And that I really do believe that that's one of my gifts. I love to connect with people. I love to
Mm.
connect people with people. And if I can keep doing that, man, my life's book is going to get so much bigger and better because of these amazing people that I've met. And I just use Firmamental as a tool to do these types of connections. And it's, yeah, for a selfish reason, it's to make my book more interesting when I
Mm.
die. I
Yeah.
want I want the best funeral. I want the most amazing people to come to my funeral and say, he was kind of a funny guy. And I'm glad that I know all these people in this room because of him. And my life was
Yeah.
better. And I laughed a little bit because I knew that guy. And if
Wow.
Firmamental helps me do that, wow, like what a gift,
Wow. Great set. Great set. And I really, what I really like is also with the flat Earth files from George Hobbs. It's not that we as a podcast community in the Firmamental, or with George Hobbs with the Truth Files, or with the Flat Earth Files, or even on the Disorganized Productions. I don't want to push something to the people. I just want to get some knowledge out, and what they make, that their own true value, that's the thing that, for me, to motivate people, inspire people throughout some creativity, because I don't have a script, guys. I just do what I do. I love to communicate. I love to dig into people, let them talk. And it doesn't matter what kind of topic it is. And it's not something like, hey, you hear this is the truth. No, figure out for yourself. It's the same with Firmamental. They won't say, and they won't push the truth from a guest or from themselves to you. They just want to educate about maybe a different kind of view, different kind of perspective, and you have to dig yourself into that stuff, and that makes it so very, very, for me, very, very easy to digest. And also with George Hobbs, with this which is kind of I think our what's it called the grandfather of the truth
He's our
podcast.
sensei.
Yeah, he's a sensei, really, our mentor. Yes, but he's doing such an awesome job. The way he talks to people and let them in their value. Never, well, he you can agree to disagree with someone, but do it in a very respectful way, and that's not always because people want to have their opinion out in this world. Even if it's me 5 years ago, which is be very subjective and not objective about thinking about, whoa, what are the facts and stuff like that. No, just want to tell my opinion. So yeah, great. Guys, listen to the Firmamental podcast. They have you've been now on air for like 3 months or something like that.
I would say since June.
June, yeah. And
Yeah.
And it's when you listen to one, you automatically listen to the second one and the third one. And I went, well, it's about 3 or 4 months ago, when I started searching on the Spotify and I found Flat Earth Files from George Hobbs. I digged into the first episode, and now I'm on with the 106th, I think it is. And it's not about the topic. It's about seeking the truth, making up your mind, and some really interesting guests with interesting stories and an interesting point of view. And some can relate, some you relate more to, but that's okay, that's okay. Okay, Alex.
I was gonna say something, Rob.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that in this journey and with my age, as I get older, the thing I have to keep telling myself over and over again is the more I know or the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
And that is why it's so important to question everything. Because once you start seeing the little lies and then they turn into big lies, and then there's a little truth, but then there's another bunch of big lies. It's like, oh man, what is going on with this world that we live in?
Yeah.
And it's a little bit sad, but I like to be positive about it. I like to say that we get to be excited when we wake up in the morning because we get to learn something new. Because yeah, that 9/11 thing, something's not right about that. So let's, if you want to look into that, great. If it upsets you, don't do it.
Yeah.
But know that there are a lot of different people out there that are doing really cool work, really amazing writing, and have different ideas. And of course, the FBI wants to call these people conspiracy theorists. And we all have, like, there's all sorts of theories. There's all sorts of theories, like the theory of relativity. And I think that that's led to a whole bunch of different goofy things, right? Like there's all sorts of, there's real science, and now we know, Rob, right? There's pseudoscience.
Yeah.
And people want to call you crazy for questioning these people in lab coats. Doesn't that sound familiar? Just trust the science.
Does.
Trust the science, Rob. Why are you questioning things? It's not your job to be a scientist.
Well, the funny thing is, when you dig into some things and people say you're a conspiracy theorist or something like that, first thing I got now is, whoa, I think I'm on the right path. Because otherwise they wouldn't call me idiot or whatever. And and the funny thing is, when you start to dig into some things and you don't see them now on YouTube, for example, 5 years ago, you could dig into whatever it is, flat earth, you could dig in how to make apples grow bigger, whatever kind of topic, you will see all these topics. And contrary, the upsides and the downsides and the truth, and make up your mind by yourself by seeing this kind of stuff. Now they hide stuff. Why would you hide something when you say that's crazy, man? Let the crazy community be crazy. I mean, we have buildings, institutions here to get the crazy people in. It's okay when he's walking down with his pants down and smoking 2 cigarettes one day and drinking 5 beers because he's crazy. Oh, no problem, no problem. No, now they want you out of the sight. They don't want anyone to listen to you somehow. So, what about that? I
Right.
mean,
When my big red flag, I mean, I had so many red flags during COVID, but my one of my biggest red flags is when our prime minister is saying on the news that I, Alex Pauls, am racist, I am sexist, I hate science, I'm anti-science, I'm anti-vaccine. I have all my shots except for this last thing because
uh-huh.
I knew something is very, very wrong with what's going on. But why, just let me die. Like, why does the prime minister care? If I'm dead because of the winter of death and if I
Oh yeah,
die from COVID,
still waiting for that one.
yeah, why is he pretending to care so much about me all of a
Uh-huh,
sudden? He doesn't
uh-huh,
care. He cares about making money.
uh-huh.
Cares very much about making money. You know what's not a conspiracy theory, Rob, is that my prime minister in Canada owns a portion of a lab that they do the lipid nanoparticles in British Columbia for all the
Ah,
vaccines in the world. So every single shot, he gets a kickback. So what does he do? He orders 10 times the number of shots for Canadian. There's 38 million Canadians. He ordered like 120, no, sorry, 300 million shots for all of Canada. He ordered 10 shots for every Canadian. And every one of those he made money off of, even if the person took it or didn't.
yeah, but
That's
that's not a
racketeering.
conspiracy, right? That's something
No.
you can really dig into and you can look at by yourself. And then when you say that to people in public, they will say to you, "You're a conspiracy theorist," and you would say, "What the fuck? No, I just digged into that. Look, these are the facts. This is his company. This isn't."
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's really strange
Think
where we
about,
live in right
yeah,
nowadays.
think about that though, Rob. That's something I know. So imagine all the things I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's
Like
a
that's a
big pile of shit. That's for
right.
sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the it's a song text from Duff McKagan, the bass guitarist from Guns N' Roses. Um, People get so stuck on getting their names in the lights, fucking some famous model and keep their assholes tight. And I think that that's something that's really digging within this. You know, they do everything to get their names in the light,
Yeah.
and they do all this crazy shit to make more money. How can it be that our people that represent our government are also by another club invited to be world rulers and they tell it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I got a business club, and I ask everyone like 100 euros a month contribution, and they trust me. I arrange several things. You know, we do several things, but I also have something to do with the catering. You know, I got also the catering business that provides them food. I also
Sure.
have the I also have the Rotary Club. I'm also, nobody knew, but I'm also the owner of the Rotary Club, so I make money also with that. So if you're a normal person and you do that kind of stuff, you'll be locked up. You're gonna be in jail.
Yeah.
But here they say in the Netherlands, if somebody, you know, they call their accountability or responsibility. Oh, I don't have active memories on that. Skip the question.
Right.
What? Hey,
Right. They don't have to answer it. They think they don't have to answer it, right?
I think politics screw up when they started to teach it at school. The I think it was on a podcast with David Hobbs, like David Crockett and stuff like that. The guys in America,
Mm.
they did it for a few month to get the country together and to get this collective thing going on. Okay, we got to rebuild this country. They didn't ask a penny for it. But when they started to make careers into politics, that was screwed
Yeah.
up big time. Just
Yeah.
like what's it called in English? Well, the pharmaceutical industry, but also
Yeah.
with the when the industry came up, like 100, what they tell us, like 150 years ago, that that we got from steam machines to stuff like that, so we can do better
Like,
things. So we
oh,
have to work less.
oh yeah, like the Industrial Revolution, right?
And industrial revolution, exactly. What
Yeah.
happened to that? I go 15 kilometers to there. I go to Germany, and within 25 kilometers, I'm one of the biggest industrial monopoly cities
Mhm.
collected in whole Europe. There's Kruppstahl. Oh, wait a minute, Kruppstahl, didn't they prevent the Nazis with tanks and guns? Yeah, they're still around. Oh, no problem.
Yeah, no big deal.
No
Yep.
big deal. It's uh, I
It's
like your map you have behind you.
oh yeah.
Tell me about it.
The Gleason map, right?
Yeah.
I got this as a suggestion from George Hobbs, and I love it. Personally, it's a good conversation starter. The reason I got it was for tracking flights.
Aha.
I thought this was such an interesting thing, and it's not like a proof of the Earth being flat or a level plane, but to me it was very interesting that when I fly from Calgary and I come to visit you or I go to Frankfurt, I fly over Greenland and
Mhm.
not over the ocean, right? We actually go over the Arctic. And then when you look at one of these maps, it's very interesting to see the straight line
Hmm. It,
and to go over it.
I saw someone who made a map from the moon. It's like a picture in picture with our
Like a
Earth, and then
reflection,
he
right?
made
Yeah.
all the time zones and stuff like that. It's crazy. Last week, my girlfriend told me, you know how many time zones that Russia has?
I think I should know because my parents are from Russia. I think it's like 14.
11.
11. Okay, I was gonna say,
Hey, wow.
right? It's
11.
big. It's so big, Russia.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, but your parents come from Russia, but you have some roots in the Netherlands also, right?
Yeah, my last name is Pauls. So my great great grandparents are from the Netherlands and they left to go to Germany. I'm not quite sure why, because they were farmers and they probably would have been happy just we probably would have had better lives if we'd just stayed in the Netherlands.
Probably was too small here.
Maybe they went to Germany and then from Germany they went to Russia. And my dad was just telling me a story about my great grandmother, how my great grandfather and my great grandmother they owned an island in somewhere in Russia near a lake, and they had a factory on there, and they employed a whole bunch of people. And during the communist takeover, the communists just took the entire business, got rid of them, threw them out, and uh, and my grandparents all my grandparents on my dad's side, they were Mennonites, so they were pacifists.
Uh-huh.
So they never fought in the wars, and that was one of the reasons why they left Russia or left Germany to go to Russia because they weren't going to fight in the wars there.
Uh-huh.
So they just wanted to be farmers and have this factory in Russia. But once the communists set in and they started taking all their things, that was bad. My mom's dad was actually speaking out against the communists, and they threw him into the gulag for 10 years. And my grandmother was sent to a slave labor camp in Siberia. So just the story of my great grandfather or my grandfather surviving the gulag for 10 years, he was 80 pounds, about like 35 kilos when he got out.
Oh.
And then he went, just him finding my grandmother wherever they had taken her, just to get out of the prison. They couldn't kill him, or he managed to get out after the 10-year sentence and find her, start up his business again as an accountant, and then finally the red curtain lifted, or the iron curtain lifted a little bit in 1972, and they managed to come to Canada and escape. Basically, they had 2 days notice: take whatever you can and get out, and if you don't, then you're stuck here forever, kind of thing.
Wow.
That's a very interesting story. That it's too bad. My mother died 3 years ago, but the stories that my grandparents would tell me and my mom would tell me, and when I read books like 1984, it's like, holy smokes, like that's what they were doing to those people.
Yeah, they do it for centuries. I'm for sure. I think that the normal people want to have a normal life with love and to do all the things that they making themselves happy. And eventually, I was talking to my girlfriend yesterday about several things, and of course we got these things that make ourselves very comfortable. We got heating. I can grab a guitar. I can grab a microphone if I want to, and I can make a podcast. I don't have to, but I like to. But if you really would ask me and other people, what is it that you really want? They just want to have a piece of land, some cattle, some stuff to build on their own lands, like a permaculture or stuff like that, and just to be left alone. But
Yeah,
no, I mean, every war and all the people that are murdered for whatever it is because they didn't fit into that system. Not that they don't fit into the system, like nature and God and stuff like that. No, into that system that makes money, slavery, and stuff like that. 100%. If you build a house here in the Netherlands, you can't build a wooden house because we have these stones.
yeah,
And I don't know what's it called, the normal stones, right?
like bricks.
Like bricks, yeah, exactly. So brick wall. But
Yeah,
if you making a brick wall, you have to have a wall in it and another wall because it's porous. So when it's going to rain 1 or 2 days, it's going to get into that. So normally it would went into your room if you don't have the second wall there.
right.
But if you have a piece of wood, you can rain 20 years on it. It never, ever is going to be one drip into the wood outside of the wood.
Right.
But because they have all these contracts with the brick companies and stuff like that, also with Mr. Henry Ford, one of the first cars he invented was a cannabis-based carrossery. So when he bumped into something, nothing happened. But then they said, well, Mr. Ford, one moment, we have a big industry here. It's called the steel industry. You better make your automobile, which we don't know what it is because we do normally everything with horses and with carriages and stuff like that. But
Right.
the thing that you're building is got to be steel.
Yeah.
Rudolf Diesel, he made the diesel motor named after him, but it's not a diesel engine. It's an engine that runs on every oil you can find. But when he was almost collecting from Germany to, I think it was London, to collect his Nobel Prize, they found his luggage, but never found Rudolf Diesel again because there's a canal between the lands and vanished. And we can dig into, sorry.
I was going to say, I think it's very interesting just to go back one. We're talking about building and what's permitted and what's not. And that's the thing that I've been thinking about lately. It's like we have to ask permission, get a permit. We have to get a license for almost, we have to pay taxes on almost everything now.
Mm.
And that's one of the things I want us to talk about on our podcast on Firmamental, just for people to realize how much of a cage they are actually in. Because so many people don't realize how not free we are. And this, to me, this is a huge problem. And then the last piece of the puzzle will be the money. Once they get that digital currency in place, and I don't know if you know my story, but I was part of the Freedom Convoy with the truckers here in Canada.
Yeah, I heard that. Sorry. Yeah.
So, not that I arranged it or anything, but we were supporting it, and we jumped in the car and we actually drove for hours with my daughter, and that was such a huge part of that feeling of freedom. Not that we might have even gotten anything, but just to show that resistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so important to question, like, oh, sorry, I got distracted. What, when people were giving to charity or to the fundraiser for this trucker convoy, the government told the banks to freeze the bank accounts of the people that were donating to this thing. Now, is the bank separate from the government? Why would the bank who works for you, that has your money, listen to politicians who work for you, that you voted for? How can they have the right to freeze your bank account? If anybody in Canada had half a brain like me, we would be freaking out right now. And I'm freaking out, but I don't think, I would say 90% of the people around me, 95 even, are not freaking out.
No.
We need to freak out and fire every single person that is in parliament and hire new. We need to fire every single CEO of every big bank in Canada for allowing our employees to freeze our money that we bank. Are you? Listen to me. This is the coffee's kicking in now, Rob. You're getting the best of me.
Yeah,
this is not conspiracy theory. We need to fire these people that work for us. We do not ask permission. If I own my land, I can do whatever the hell I want to do on my land. If I want to build a house with wood, I'll build it with wood. I don't need to ask anybody's permission. If I want to have cows, if I want to have a farm, I'm going to do that. I'm not asking anybody's permission. If I want to dig a hole and have a well with water, or if I want to start digging and look for gold, it's my land. I can do whatever the hell I want with it. Why are we, who are we asking permission to? Why are we asking permission? Why am I paying taxes on money? Like, okay, you and me work, Rob. They take our income tax, which is already the first theft.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay income tax. Yeah, I don't want to pay income tax anymore. That's my money. I earned it. The government didn't earn anything. I go to the grocery store. Okay, fine. Now I'll pay taxes on the stuff that I buy. I used my money. Fine. Now I'll pay taxes on the groceries, on the whatever. I go get gas. Okay, I'm cool. There's 50 in Canada, it's like 50 or 60% of our gas is tax.
Yeah.
And that tax is to pay for the roads, to help keep the roads good. I'm okay with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But don't tell me you need to tax my income so that the road can get fixed.
And tax your vehicle.
And then tax my vehicle yet. Do I own this vehicle? Yes. Why am I paying taxes on it then every year? Why am I insuring it every year or registering it every year? It's still mine. Why would I repay to register it?
It's crazy shit, man.
In Canada and in Europe, it's probably worse than anywhere in the world. Like you and me, we probably pay 70%, 80% of our money that we make is probably minimum taxes or permits or licenses, or it's basically just us asking permission to do anything.
And you know, the funny thing is about this story, Alex, the funny thing is the corrupt people say that we are corrupt and that we're telling nonsense. but they are so corrupted that the banks allow, because they got from fed up from upstairs, whatever they call it, and to shut us down. But he got all these commands from the most corrupt shit that's in the world. So who are you shutting down? Okay, if you do it like that, shut down the government.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it is with you guys with immigration and stuff like that, but I am in the middle, exactly in the middle, probably the goddamn pointer down here from Tri-State City. It's going to be the Netherlands, which is 385 kilometers long and maybe 300 kilometers wide. A part of this Ruhrpott, which we call it. This it's like a Düsseldorf, Cologne, where all the industry is going on in Germany, the heavy industry. Yeah. They're living on this little, well, I think it's 30 or 40 kilometers. Is going to be 18 million people only in Germany. So it's 18 million, and 18 million makes 32. Yeah. And then you got this piece of Belgium. And that's only, it's a diameter, probably 100 kilometers. If I only take that one, I got Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands, where are probably based 30 to 40 million people. And you can't get out here without any shit that they want to tell you in the digital stuff like that. So I think we're going to get some magnets because digital stuff has a really something going on with magnets and water.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Alex, we are listening to several podcasts with several stories and about people, like you said before, that know things, that work for NASA, that know things. And if you don't see the truth, if you don't dig into this shit, you would be the deer in the headlights within now and a couple of maybe weeks, maybe if you're lucky, month, but we don't have any years left. They spreading something out like they did before to shut us down because we got more knowledge, we got more communication going on. We are digging with each other into this kind of topics, and it's a positive way. It's a positive way to wake somebody up, and it's a positive way to think about how ludicrous it is, how they do these things, because there's some kind of like this stupid clown that's falling and tripping all over again. It's not the perfect one who's making a perfect stage and stuff like that. If you look at the moon landing, it doesn't matter if you look at India or the moon landing from 1969. If you look into that right now, if you don't laugh about what you see, then I'm sorry for you, man. I'm really sorry for you. But it's a comedian show because they can't do the things that we do somehow.
So I was going to say, one of the things that's dangerous about Flat Earth, and I know that that's why they want to censor it. Let's say we're wrong. Let's just say we're wrong. The Earth is a globe. It's just, I don't believe it, but I always say, if the Earth is a globe, it is way bigger than what they're telling us it is. Way bigger. Because anybody that knows the numbers, and you can go and listen to any of my stuff, I love numbers. I love talking about numbers. I love actual physics. There is a level of sorcery that's been done on atheists and atheism, and I'll get to that right away. But these people that cannot see properly, they cannot see what you and I see. They see something totally different. And I don't know if that's a spiritual thing, or I'm digging into this. This is going to be one of my articles I'm writing. It's called The Distractions of the Devil. And I'm writing another one called The Desperation of the Devil. And I woke up this morning and I had this inspiration because I was coming on here and I wanted to talk to you about this. So now that I've said it, I have to write these articles about these things. But getting back to flat Earth and biblical cosmology, let's say it doesn't even matter if it's real or not, but the side effect of it is what scares them, what's dangerous. Because not only do I believe in God now, like I know that there's God. I don't even have to believe. I know that there's God. And I know that we win in the end. And I know that I can take my power back now. I'm not a speck of dust accident in the universe of this thing, right? I'm Alex Pauls. I am the soul. I am here in this body right now. I am so much more than this body, but I'm taking my power back. And the better I get, and the smarter I get, and the stronger I get, I can go out into the community. I can go out now on podcasts and I can help give inspiration and more strength to other people too. This is a dangerous thing. And especially the things that I'm saying about people need to realize they work for us.
Yeah, exactly.
They work for us. We are the powerful ones. And God is really good. There's no accidents here. There's no accidents. If your life is shit, it's your fault. It's not the government's job to save you. It's not the government's job to help you. It's you. It's your job. And when I was reading Exodus during COVID, and the thing that really bothered me, like when you'd watch the Ten Commandments and the Jews, they come out of Egypt and they're bitching and complaining to Moses, like, oh God, what have you done to us? Let's just go back. Like, at least we had food, at least we were taken care of. Like, here we got to take care of ourselves now, you ass. Like, but that's human nature, right? 80% of people want to be taken care of. And that's why, like, so many people want socialism and they want this like magic shit that, because people are too lazy. They're not strong enough. And I'm telling you, when you believe in God and when you believe in yourself and you believe that you are awesome and you start reading more and you start eating well and you start exercising and you start being a better person and you start meeting people and you go out there with intention to make the world a better place, you can change things. You can. You have your attitude, this amazing attitude that you can bring to the world. You will attract incredible things to you, and people will want to listen to you, and they'll believe you. They'll believe what you say, just like they believe some clown on the news with some white jacket that says, oh, you gotta stay inside for 2 weeks and that's what's gonna save. Oh wait, no, it's 2 years. You gotta stay inside for 2 years now.
Yeah. Only one jab, no two, no three.
Maybe get 7. Yeah, maybe get 7. If you get 7, everything will be fine.
Isn't that a big shit show? But true, yeah.
Continue, are you still listening to these people? No. Why wouldn't you listen to me? Yeah. What makes me less of a clown than that guy on TV? And I'm telling you that the answer is you. I'd much rather believe me than some guy on TV that needs a paycheck from this guy's hard-earned money.
Yeah.
Those guys, those are our bitches. Those bitches work for us.
Exactly.
That's my
and they
rant.
Have to do. We're the pimps. We're the pimps of these bitches.
Exactly.
But somehow we lost contact with being controlled and to have the big hat on and to say, hey, wait a minute. Your bitches are fucking around. You got to do the job. You got to do the things.
Yeah, it's a really sad side effect. So look at the opposite now. Heliocentrism. People don't realize this. We did an episode called Lines in the Sand. You cannot believe in God and believe in the Big Bang Theory.
No,
you can't. It's impossible. You might say you do, but that's because you don't realize it. They just don't mix. You can't believe in God and believe in evolution. I'm not the descendant of a monkey. I'm not.
No.
It takes way more mental jujitsu to believe that everything came from nothing. There was this explosion, and then magically, me and Rob are on a podcast talking. That's way more bullshit than anything.
I got one fun for evolution. So they say it was Darwin, I think, right? We coming from the apes, and eventually we went to this big soup, and we went to the land and stuff like that. So I got one for you listeners. If that is true, what about the rest that you're looking at the animals and the flora and fauna you see every goddamn day? If we are being, and we evolute, okay, we dig into,
We evolve spiritually.
yeah, but also maybe physically and stuff like that. If it's going to be very harsh for, I think it was one of the podcasts, we had a hunger winter here in the Netherlands with the war, and the babies after that winter were more fat because they started to eat more to prevent themselves from starving to death. So I think there's something is going on, like evolution in our body, but not that I was millions millions of years ago a monkey or stuff like that. But if you dig into that shit, okay, great. So we are evaluated from monkeys, but what about the rest? So a cow, what was that? Also a monkey? What
Right.
about a lion? Was it okay? Or
Yeah.
or is it only a story based of how we are humans are been created and the rest was there? What the hell, people? Think about that. That's my silver bullet, man.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. And we did an episode with Sean Hibbler, and he's talking about old world order. And this is very interesting. Like, you go into some buildings in Europe that are still there, look at the architecture in Europe, and then you come here and you just like, what the hell? And that's because so many of the cities in North America, like Chicago and San Francisco, they were burned down, right? But there was apparently incredible buildings here too that were destroyed. And it's like something, we were much more capable of building incredible things a long time ago than we are now. And we're talking about cowboys and horses and buggies. But then you look at the Sistine Chapel, you look at, so in Spain, they have the most amazing cathedrals you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah.
And
Italy also, Florence, Siena.
right.
Wow.
Like, and these were built like over 1,000 years ago, and they still stand. And here in where I live, they build houses and they last for 150 years and they get knocked down. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, we're not better. We're not better. We're not smarter than what our ancestors were. We're not better.
No. How can it be that people thousands of years ago made the pyramids, the great pyramids of Egypt, and we say that no, they were dumb, but it was slaves and the stuff like that. We still can't figure out how they did it. And probably there are some theories. And this is one of the things, guys. If you dig into a lot of conspiracy, whatever it's going to be, and you have something like gravity, it's a theory. It's not something that they can grab a hold on and say for 100% sure that they can say, now it's like this. No, it's a theory. A theory, and that's cool from science. Every time when somebody else is bringing something up, they would say, oh, wait a minute, this is a more plausible theory. But fact is something totally different.
Yeah.
And pyramids are found all over the world. It's not only in Egypt. Probably they dig them, and it's really funny because if you see pictures of the Great Pyramids, like you see on Discovery and stuff like that, you say, wow. But if you really take a good picture of it, you see the city of Cairo just like 5 kilometers away or something like that.
Yeah, it's like right there. Yeah.
So we are
And it doesn't make
we're
sense,
fucking
right?
up so much time of things. just like forests, which are thousands of years old and host flora and fauna. What they do nowadays, get rid of the forest, and we're gonna make some skyscrapers. Yeah, okay. For what?
Yeah. Or even in the Netherlands to get rid of the farms and build these cities, right?
Oh man,
those farms in the Netherlands are so important.
And these guys are really, every single time when the government said, no, we have some new laws or some new things, they were doing it. We have one of the most, and of course, to be honest, the meat industry, that's something totally different, right? The meat industry, I saw one of them from Sean Hibbler, from Hibbler Productions, one of the movies, and it's about the meat industry. It's a nasty business. But if you have a cow and you feed it well and you have it with your family, it gives you milk, it gives you everything that you need, and in the end you're going to eat it. It's something that's for me, that's honor nature. Not like, okay, I go to the grocery store, I buy a piece of cow. That's something different in my point of view, in my opinion. But the way we treat the cattle here and the way the farmers already did all these emission norms and stuff like that, it's crazy. It's crazy. And you have to think and realize the Netherlands has been built hundreds of years ago by farmers.
Mm-hmm.
The government, the Romans, the Romans, these are settled down in Den Haag and stuff like that because they couldn't get ground here, where I live, because we were fighting with pitchforks and stuff like that against them, like Asterix and Obelix, if you don't know what I mean.
Yeah.
We did that, but now, if I walk outside, I hear that this highway. I call it the roaring sound of society. It's a constantly, there's constantly some vibration there.
Mm-hmm.
We got fed up by vibrations, and that's why they build all these towers around us, because if something is going to get down, they can vibrate. They can. It's like a microwave. It's like a fucking microwave, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that much about it, but I do know that they use 5G in some types of military weapons.
Mm.
So I mean, hell, we microwave ourselves all day long with Wi-Fi and our phone.
Ourselves, yeah.
I mean, I was telling my daughter that she was born in 2008, and I said in 2008, all I had was one wire coming from my modem to my computer, and if I wanted to check Facebook or whatever, I would have to go on the computer, do whatever I need to do, and then get off. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no using my phone. My phone was for calls and for texting. That's it. There was no Wi-Fi. There was no constant internet. There was no none of that. And now it's just everybody's device needs to be connected. We need to have 5G, and we need to have like none of my stuff is connected, hardwired, anything.
It's I mean, I'm 50 now. 50 when I was young, and I remember I had to go back home when I was playing outside. Then at that time it was quite safe to play outside because I was living in a village, small village. When the lights went on the lanterns, I went inside because then I knew it was around 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, my dad had a job as a salesman, and he came home with this, I don't know what's it called in English, but it was a bakelit telephone. It was like this big. It was a mobile phone, just like one little hook and then this big case, and it cost like I think like 8 guildens or something. I don't know what it cost, but it cost pretty much money. And he had a peeper on his dashboard, and one was for his wife. Second one was for his mattress. Third one was for his secretary, stuff like that. And and then he knew, oh, somebody rang me, and he could call with a mobile phone, which was weighing like 8 pounds or something like that.
Crazy.
Really crazy. And nowadays, if you turn off the Wi-Fi, all the little children is like, my life is over. I was just watching TikTok. I have one episode of that in my course. It's called Appetite for Nonsense.
Yes.
And it's one of the things I'm also struggle with. I'm HDAD, so I need information. But I haven't been a while on TikTok now for 3 or 4 days because I do not want to be addicted in what kind of way to something or someone. I won't allow me that. So when I'm feeling, oh, wait a minute, I dig more into Facebook or stuff like that, I'm gonna say, okay, let's hit this shit, Rob. It's too much. No, we're not gonna do that.
The distractions of the devil, right?
Yeah, and the more you dig into that, the more you see it's. I mean, there's a lot of that going on. I mean, I love to play music.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, a lot of the music that I listen to, if I'm listening now, it's the sound of the devil.
If you sat there without your phone, let's say you didn't have your phone and you were just bored, you picked up that guitar just for 20 minutes and you just like listened to yourself and then you just started to play. How much better would that feel if you did that 20 minutes a day instead of having that phone on TikTok or Instagram?
I do that. I do that a lot.
But that's good, right? And I regret it when I don't. There's lots of times where I'm on stupid Instagram or whatever, and next thing you know, 20 minutes is gone. And I could have been reading one of my books. I could have been writing a new book. I could have been. There's lots of times where I just, if I just allow myself to sit, especially in the morning, if I wake up at like 5 a.m. and I sit like I did this morning, I actually woke up because I was excited to be on the podcast. I woke up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday, no alarm. And I was excited, and I got these ideas, these downloads for the creative zone of my genius, the desperation of the devil, the distractions of the devil. And I sat with those things. I'm like, okay, I'm meant to write about these things. But if I wouldn't have just sat there in that time and that's my creative time. If I wouldn't have done that, I mean, not that I'm anybody special, I'm not the celebrity, but I might have missed my window to download that and then to create that for somebody who needed to read that or for somebody who needed to hear that, and all of us have that. All of us have that gift. All of us, if we were books on a shelf, we would each have a very, very interesting story to tell. Each of us. The worst thing you can do is put a person in a group. The best thing you can do is take that person out of a group and really find out about them, find out about who they are, what they love, their traumas, you can really get this amazing picture of who this person is. And everybody has that ability to be an incredible individual. And so much of us is being robbed by these distractions.
Exactly what you say. And I think the more I'm digging into that, to, if you call it content, but the more I do stuff like this is what I really love. This is what I like. Since the last 2 years, when I started to be an entrepreneur, no matter what, I didn't care about time. Normally 9 o'clock you go get in, 5 o'clock you get at home, stuff like that. But if they asking you, can you spend a little bit early or a little bit, it was something going on, and like, oh fuck, I don't know. Like in the beginning, yes, enthusiasm and stuff like that. But now, even if I'm working in a weekend, I love to do it. And the more I got interaction with people, especially since the last podcast, people reached out to me, and I really, I you know that the message that you have, or the person that you have, the story that you tell, is reached somebody.
Mhm.
It's like the first sale. You know, I don't care about the sale. I want my product, whatever it's gonna be, out, and that somebody is digging into that, and that he's finding any value in it. That's the creation of what I like to do.
Yeah, we love to serve. It's
Yeah,
yeah, we want to
absolutely.
serve the world our gifts.
Yeah, and the way we talk, and I mean, I'm in the Netherlands. I'm not normally familiar with English. I did a lot of things in English. Um, we have this funny thing here in the Netherlands. When we watch TV when we were younger, everything is with subtitles. So we always hear the official, or the normal language, and we see the translation in Dutch, so we have to read it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in Germany, they translate everything to Germany. So if you have Schwarzenegger, it's really funny, you know. That it's what was this hasta la vista baby, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's a wrong sentence, but if you say something like a mob wise thing in a film, like hey, Gino, stick it up, man, we gotta go there, we gotta go to the car, we're gonna put these punks in the trunk, you know, something like
Yeah.
that. If you hear it in Germany, just hey, Gino, ja, wir sollen diese Typen mal ganz schnell fertig machen und im Kofferraum schmeißen. What? So they
Well,
listen.
yeah, it's like any language. The slang is funny. If you try to translate slang, it's
Yeah,
hilarious, right? But
but
that's the beauty of different languages. I was just talking about how Russian is such an incredible language because in one word you can capture the smell, the feeling, the joke, the like one word can encapsulate so many things where in English you have to make it like five, six,
mm,
8 words, right?
and it's really funny when you're really listening into the UK stuff. They don't know, and there was an episode from Top Gear where they make fun of the Americans because in English they say we go horse riding, but in America they say we go horseback riding. So don't grab it by its foot or something. You gotta
Yeah,
and glasses or binoculars, you know. And
yeah, yeah.
no, in America it's like eyeglasses. So the glasses you have, you put them on your eye for the eyes, not for your feet, not for your
Right,
hands.
right.
And there's something that we talked about a little bit. Only one thing on a firmamental podcast. The spells like sword, the
Or yeah,
words, and you had some really interesting guests on it, man. I love to listen to Scipio Eriditis.
yeah.
You had
Skip
David
those.
Weiss. You had Mark Sargent, Hillary with a. I cried with that story when I listened to it in my car, and I was talking to Raul, one of the hosts of Firmamental podcast, about that episode, and I said, "Man," he said, "I started to cry," and I said, "I tell you, I cried too, man. It was such a amazing story about an amazing woman, and she followed me yesterday or the day before on Instagram, and she's
Mm,
making beautiful jewelry, and she lives on a beautiful place now where she found God again, and
yeah,
it had a a tremendous story how to be far away from God and to get into that again. And Alex,
it's a good side effect, right? It's a good side effect.
yes, yes. And as I told you, I don't care what they think about me right now, but I bought a Bible a couple of weeks ago. I would never ever thought I would buying a Bible and dig into that stuff. I
Mhm.
never ever. But that's okay, man. I'm, and that's one of the thing about people of this truth community. They don't have this is the truth. They have something like, okay, let me hear your story or your opinion or your perspective, and maybe I can twitch my own truth a little bit around. And it's not like, oh man, you're crazy. Oh, okay. Why? Well, you're just crazy, man. Why?
You know what's funny is the thing that I love about the Bible. My grandfather, he would tell me stories all the time when I was a kid, all the time, and that's the reason why I always had faith, because my parents weren't religious people. But my grandfather, he would have died for his faith. In Russia, you were not allowed to practice, and he was getting on a train and secretly going places. And it was very interesting knowing that he risked his life for his faith. And as a little boy, not having that at home, but when I would come to visit him and have him tell me stories, and I love puzzles and I love stories, and I love listening to different people talk about the Bible. And when they like unlock a little something, when they find something in there, because there's so many like little hidden gems in different parts. And when I have read something and then I listen to somebody talk and then they emphasize one point in some scripture, and you look at it and it's like, oh wow, it's like Da Vinci Code, like something just got unlocked. And it's
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
cool. It's like a game, right? And I love that. And everybody's like, oh, the devil, he makes everything look so cool. And we're like Ned Flanders on The Simpsons. We're like nerds that are like, the Bible's cool. But it's so funny because it's the opposite. There's so many interesting lessons and so many interesting, just the way it's worded. It'll blow your mind, right? And I can only imagine, like, if I picked up a Bible that was in German or in Dutch, how interesting it would be to read the different translations. Because I don't think English, going back to our spells, right? I don't think English is that good of a language.
Mm.
No,
What?
like growing up, I didn't speak English until I was about 5 years old.
Huh.
I only spoke Russian. And to me, Russian was like the greatest language
You
ever.
still speak it?
I can understand a little bit, but I'm super rusty now, which is unfortunate. But I just don't have anybody to work with in Russian, you know? But
Huh.
I loved it and I loved speaking it. And like I loved listening to my parents and their friends talk in Russian, and the jokes and the funny things that they would say. It's like I said, I could like smell a word.
Uh-huh.
It was so interesting. And then when I started speaking English, I'm like, man, this is not such a magical language. Like when I listen to my cousins in Germany talk, and I can understand a little bit of German, and but it's so interesting when you go traveling to different places. People are the way they communicate, you can see they're just so happy and they're laughing and they're I love that. And I think like English is missing a lot of that. I don't know how to explain it properly, but English, I know because I didn't grow up speaking English, that it's not a superior language by any means.
No. It's one of the easiest ways, and a lot of people. If you look to YouTube, how many people that are speaking, maybe not that good or in a sentence, or but they can make themselves understandable in English. There's so
Yeah,
many people,
like it's
and
an easy caveman language, right? If
yeah,
you could barely speak English, you would
and
just have
still
to
they
say three or
understand
four
you.
words. I would still understand you. I get it. I know what you mean. But
Yeah.
my cousins would drive me crazy because I would try and speak German. And if I don't say it perfectly,
Oh,
if I don't say it perfectly, it's like, what are you saying?
yeah,
Like they
yeah,
had
yeah.
no idea what. And then I'm like, screw it. I'm just speaking English to you guys. I'm not even trying.
But one
And
of the
I'll
funniest
say cement. You know how to say cement? Like, you know, like the pavement on the ground where the cars drive?
cement, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm explaining this to my cousins. Oh, you mean cement? I'm like, shut up, man. Like
Oh,
they couldn't understand what I was talking about. I said cement and they couldn't get it. I'm like, oh, you guys are dead to me.
oh, yeah. I think they're pain in the asses, because if you're a Dutch guy and you not speak that good German, but you go to Germany and you try to speak it, they really love it. And I can tell you, because I was driving a lot in Germany, but uh my father was a German, so I have basically my German nationality, and I'm living in the Netherlands as a Dutch guy. But eventually, I'm half and half German, half. I speak fluently German. But if you
Rob,
if
do you know what Plattdeutsch is?
Plattdeutsch, ja
Yeah,
na klar kann ich Plattdeutsch.
right. So my dad and my grandmother and my family, they speak Plattdeutsch like
Okay, yeah, because
more than
Worms is like 15, 20 kilometers away from here, I think.
Oh, those relatives, they don't speak Plattdeutsch, but my family that came from Russia here,
Okay,
they speak Plattdeutsch because I don't know why they created that language. I think it was like to hide from the government,
I
or
just
it's like a
wanted to tell
slang,
you,
right?
I just wanted to dig into you when you were talking about these languages and about spells. Every town where I live in the Netherlands, every town has its own dialect.
Mm,
So it's not only how you pronounce the things, but also it could be completely different something that's meaning the same, but they have their own dialect. And that's the same with Plattdeutsch. And the funny thing is, if I speak dialect Venlo from here, Venlo,
yeah,
in Aachen, in Aachen, it's like 100 kilometers away. In Germany, they will understand each other. Crazy.
yeah, that is crazy.
And I love languages, and I think it has something to do with uh, it's a very old language. So even Netherlands is one, I think one of the most difficult languages to speak and to learn.
Mm.
I think Mandarin in China is very hard, and Finnish.
Hungarian is tough, man. That's a crazy
Hungarian, yeah.
language.
I want to go to Hungary, but the language is so tough, and nobody's speaking English or German. German
Oh no,
more.
Rob, you have to go to Budapest.
I
It's
was
like
there. For,
it's super English friendly. I was totally fine. My wife speaks Hungarian fluently, but I loved it there. Like I was scared, but it was very English friendly. But man, that's one of my favorite places.
I was there before the wall went down. So when it was
Oh,
closed,
really?
yeah, with my dad, they had
Oh,
at
cool.
that time they had it was crazy. They had my dad was basically um, selling equipment for IBM stuff like that. He bought it here in Germany and then went to the universities in the eastern border, right?
Mm.
And to sell it to universities and stuff like that. So I think he was quite a big man, as he told me. Um, he went to Russia, Bulgaria, Poland, and stuff like that. And when I was 13 years old and was 14 or 15, I went with a business travel with him. And we went to Budapest. But at that time, I had a little bit long hair. And in Budapest, there was two hotels. One hotel was really nice and really fancy, but there were a lot of hookers and stuff like that. And the other
Mm.
one was the Forum Hotel. And the Forum Hotel was really nice, like 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever. And I couldn't get in. They
Mm.
hold me back, and I was sitting in the car waiting for my dad. And my dad had his own bodyguard from Poland,
Oh,
Casimir.
wow.
It was
That's
a
pretty
little
cool.
guy with a mustache, and oh man, I got some crazy stories to tell you about that, man. But that was my bodyguard too, right? So there was this little old guy, Polish, and sometimes when people came up to us, he only opened his jacket and he said, "Oh no," and he looked and he had his 9mm on his thing, and my
Oh,
dad
wow.
needed it because um, when they knew that you were doing business in these countries at that time, mafia was just looking around the corner. Okay, you want to have protection or you want to be dead? You pay
Right.
or not? So he had his own bodyguard, but I couldn't get into the hotel.
Hmm.
And then this my fair my the bodyguard came and he said, there's and he went to the trunk, opened up the trunk, and that came a sweater, a nice white sweater. And he said, "Could you make it top like a pigtail, yeah, probably. So I did that. I put on the sweater, and he went up to these guys. Is this decent enough for this bloody thing? And then
Right.
they heard who I was. So I was the child from my dad, right? Well, probably yes, of course. But they all bowed, just like, oh, sorry, because
Oh
my
wow.
dad came there for once in the 2 weeks, and he spent there for a week, stuff like that. Yeah,
Right.
crazy stories, man. Crazy
That's
stories.
cool. That's pretty awesome.
Huh.
But I think that that's you bring up a good point, and one of the most important things people can do is travel, go to different places, experience different cultures, and that's another reason why we're so scared of other cultures and people is because people are just ignorant
Mm.
to other people. I mean, I'm not saying that everywhere is safe, but everywhere I've ever been to, the people are amazingly kind, amazingly good. It's like people give me a hard time. Oh, you're going to America? You're going to get shot. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're not going to get shot in America. I mean, if you go in the middle of the night and do cocaine and you're in the middle of a back alley, maybe you're going to get shot, right?
Yeah.
Maybe in Amsterdam that'll happen to you too, right? It's you got to use half a brain, but you need to go and experience and see that everywhere you go, everybody is just like you. They all want a good life. They all want to go out and not everybody. Some people are dicks, right? So or somebody's
Yeah,
having a
of
bad,
course you got them.
but
Yeah.
whatever. For the most part, you're gonna go and you're gonna experience amazing food. You're gonna experience amazing culture. You're gonna meet some cool people, and people want to talk to you too, right? It's like, oh,
Mm.
you're from, oh, hey, Rob, I'm from Canada. Boom. What do you want to know about Canada? And I can answer all your questions, right? Like,
Yeah.
people want to know about where you're from too, as much as when you're there. And people
Yeah,
are proud of
that you
where they're
dig
from.
into their culture and stuff like that.
Yeah, people
I
are
always
super
have to be careful when I say I come from the Netherlands, like Amsterdam. Oh, you smoke?
proud.
Yeah, is it allowed here?
That's
You
so
got
funny.
some?
When I was in Amsterdam, my oldest daughter, she wanted to go into every single marijuana shop. I'm like, dude, because there was all these like crazy rainbow flags and
Oh yeah,
different
yeah.
designs. And she's like, oh, that's cool, Dad. And my other daughter, when we were, oh, I got this funny story. So we're in Switzerland we were in Zurich, and we come up to this beautiful window, and there's all these different colors, and the sun is shining, beautiful. And I walk up to her and she's looking at it and she's like, oh, this is beautiful, Dad. And I look and it's a wall of dildos.
Yeah.
And it was some crazy sex shop. And it's all these different dildos on the in the window. And I quickly grab her hand. I'm like, okay, let's go and we'll go look at something else. And I'm like, oh my God, leave it to my kids to go and stare at the wall of penises, like, oh. And then the other one's trying to go smoke weed with all these people. It's like, holy
Oh
smoke.
man,
I'm
I
gonna have
I,
my hands full later.
I think that the funny thing is that more and more countries it is allowed to have and to smoke, and I think Bob Marley was one of these guys who said they don't want us to smoke because otherwise we would know too much more and we would see more of the universe around us. So that's a nice one.
It's
Mm.
interesting. I've only dabbled a little bit with marijuana and just like edibles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But it's funny. And I'm guessing everybody is very different. But for me, it's like I get very happy. It's
that's
like
that's that's one of the things. Yeah.
it's like happier than normal. I'm like, ah, crap. But you know what I think to myself after? It's like I need to figure out how to bring that happiness out without
Mm.
having to eat this, right?
It's a funny that you mentioned this because Bashar, Daryl Anka, he's a medium. So
Oh yeah.
Bashar is the one that's in the universe and stuff like that, whatever it is, right? But there was this ladies coming up and he said, "Yeah, I'm dealing with some drugs and with alcohol and cannabis." And he said, "Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! You got some issues with alcohol and stuff like that. That's bad. cannabis, everything that's provided by Earth, it's okay to use. But normally people use it to get in a state that you could adapt in without it. I was smoking a lot, man. If I have to put it in a room, if I have to put all stuff that I smoked in a room, it would be a big building, man.
That's
and
funny.
there's no excuse. There's no excuse. I mean, I'm from the Netherlands, but that's no excuse.
But for me, I always find that's like my dad was an alcoholic. So for me, it's always the psychology behind it. It's like, why am I doing this? Like, am I using this to make myself relaxed? Am I using this to make myself happier? Why can't I be happy without this? Or why do I need this to forget about that? Or I always look at it as kind of like a medicine, almost like a nerd. It's like, why am I doing these things to myself? So like being a child of an alcoholic, I'm always aware that if I'm drinking, why am I drinking? Am I drinking because I need it, or am I drinking because I want it? And if I answer and I always answer my own question. If I need it, I don't drink. Like I'm not going to use alcohol as like a medicine, and I'm not going to use alcohol as a crutch to make my life more tolerable or more better, because it goes back to our original point. I'm in charge of my life. It's not, and if something's shitty, alcohol's not going to make it better. The government's not going to make it better. I need to clear my head, and I need to figure out how I'm going to make this thing better. And alcohol to me is for fun. And now that I'm older, I drink really nice, expensive alcohol, and it's okay. I only drink a little bit, and I drink it because I enjoy it, not because it's a medicine.
It's like smoking a cigar instead of smoking cigarettes.
Exactly, yeah.
And my dad was an alcoholist too, and I was drinking a lot. That's one of the things probably why I went up into the hospital. But now, as I figured myself out, for why are you trying to get so drunk? I sometimes I like it, when I'm here on a Saturday or whatever, and I just want to have a few beers, and I'm feeling to get this dizziness. Turn on the lights, grab my guitar, play something. I think it's freaking great. Listen back to it, because normally I try normally to record it on my telephone, and then the day after, just like, that wasn't that great, was it? But I had fun.
Alcohol is funny because you're way funnier and you're way more awesome in your mind.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. It was once there came a very ugly woman to me, and she said, "Man, you're drunk." I said, "Yeah, but that's over tomorrow. And you're ugly, but that's not gonna be over tomorrow."
Oh man, I always call it the perfect storm. It's once every year or once every 2 years, I start to have too much fun, and then I ask myself, it's like, do I want to have a shitty day tomorrow? And then I'm like,
Is it worth
it's worth it. It's worth it. I'm having fun. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then we keep the party going. But and that, I always call it the perfect storm. But it's funny. You can have some good times, right? But it's all up here. You're probably way stupider. If somebody videotaped you, and in your mind, what's happening is totally different than reality.
Oh,
right?
yeah. But
Totally different.
have you been to parties where you were sober and the West was getting drunk?
Yes.
If you see how people behave, just like, oh, he's trying to dig up that girl. It's not gonna happen, dude. You see, and he's drinking one. He's looking at that girl, and you see that. I like psychology, so I'm looking at him and say, okay, he's digging out that girl. Okay, she's digging. No, she's not digging at him, because she thinks already, oh no, I think he drank too much. So he takes another shot, because he wants to get, he wants to get in the mood, and then he makes his movement to it. And she's
But
like,
in your
oh,
mind,
no,
it's
dude,
pretty
no,
smooth.
dude. And he just walks. It's so funny. Alex, time is really flying as we're having fun. I always have 10 questions for my guests. And of course, you're going to have 10 of these questions too, just to let the audience know more about you than we already knew in this really nice, beautiful podcast and awesome conversation that we have already now. Okay, I got 10 questions, and these are going to be a little like shotguns. Okay, what's
All
your
right,
favorite? Okay, let's get it on. What's your favorite color?
my favorite color is blue.
What's your favorite music?
My favorite music is rap music.
What's your favorite film or series?
My favorite film is Coupe de Ville. It's a 1989 movie about three brothers that take a road trip and they all hate each other, and it's hilarious. So please, everybody, go watch Coupe de Ville.
Okay. Favorite book?
My favorite book is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck.
Favorite drink?
That's a good question. My favorite drink is probably Crown Royal. It's a whiskey from where I'm from, which is just outside of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. So if anybody drinks Crown Royal, that's from where Alex Pauls is from.
Cool. Favorite food?
Oh man, my favorite food is going to be Thanksgiving dinner with turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, a bun with butter, and pickles and gravy. That's my favorite food.
Okay. What kind of clothing you wear the most? Or would you love to wear?
Oh, probably just jeans and a nice shirt, something that's comfortable.
Okay. What's your favorite holiday destination?
Oh, like to go?
Yeah.
Oh man, I would say Arizona is my favorite. Arizona in America.
Oh,
Phoenix, Arizona. That's my favorite.
you like it hot?
It's very hot. But my second would be Budapest, Hungary. That would be my second.
Okay. 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 The last two questions. What's your favorite quote?
Oh wow, that's a tough one. If not, who? What is it? If not, yeah. Shit, man, you put me on the spot. If not us, who? If not now, when? That's it.
Wow. What is your life motto?
My life motto, just keep getting better. Just keep getting better.
Wow. It's so nice. I was talking to someone last week. He was a marketing guy, and we were just talking about business, what I was doing, what he could do for me, and stuff like that, and what I could do for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to connect with people. And I just asked him 4 questions. What car are you driving? And he said, well, I drove a Toyota Aygo. So you got directly a picture of someone, right? And I was having a Zoom conversation with him. But he said, that was when I went to college and stuff like that. So what's your favorite music? Yeah, like this and that, and some kind of heavy metal sometimes, but sometimes also party music, or and we were digging into 4 normal questions. He's just got completely different view of someone than you're just having a normal conversation. So tell me, what kind of rap is one of your favorites? I listen to, for example, one of my favorites that I ever listened to was Ice-T with Home Invasion. This album, this is really,
Oh yeah.
That was my introduction to rap.
Well, I'm gonna give you a couple of my favorite albums here, and then you're gonna have to go check them out, okay?
Okay.
And you're gonna thank me. So everybody needs to go listen to. And this is a little bit newer. It's not old. It's Czarface. Every Hero Needs a Villain. So there's about 6 or 7 Czarface albums now, but Every Hero Needs a Villain is the second album. The first album is amazing too. And then I really like this album. It's called Gems from the Equinox. This is kind of like my underground one. I don't think anybody's going to know this one. Gems from the Equinox. It's by Mayhem Lauren. And DJ Muggs, the DJ from Cypress Hill, he does the music on it. Holy smokes, man! This is an album. This is gonna. This is serious. It is a gem. It is gems from the Equinox, and you need to listen to this album. It is sick. It's gonna blow you away. And then my favorite group is probably Czarface, but then my second favorite group is Wu-Tang Clan. That's pretty standard. And I think Wu-Tang Clan is kind of like Firmamental, where we are gonna combine with a bunch of other people, and we're gonna create a very, very, very cool dynamic group. And that's just how I see the Firmamental podcast. It's very much like a Wu-Tang Clan, except for podcasting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alex, I'm gonna give you the last word. I think it's time to wrap it up. I would love to do another episode with you because I think there's so much. As we had the first time when we had contact, we already had this feeling like, whoa, man, there's something going on between our energy and between us guys that we couldn't stop talking about all the stuff that we were talking about. And I wanted to dig in so much more, like video games and board games, because it's one of your hobbies too, right?
It's funny. Like I said in the beginning, it's we take our geniuses for granted, or we take the things we love for granted. And I didn't realize that all these different things that I love kind of makes me a cool, unique person. It's even though I'm a nerd about certain things. Like we are all, and it's not a bad thing. Like when you're a nerd about something, it just means you really, really enjoy it. And you can't wait to share that information with people. So yeah, I have a lot of books. I have a lot of games. I nerd out on motorcycles. I nerd out on travel. Like the reason I think I'm so good at connecting with people is because I feel like I've been so many different places and my soul is all over the world now. And I love all the people that I've met, and speaking Russian when I was a kid and having family from Europe and from Russia and living here in Canada and having family in America, I kind of feel like I'm all over the place. And when I get to meet somebody like you, I feel like you and me are cousins, or we could be even brothers, because like my family is from where you're from. We might even be somehow related. You never know, but I get excited about that kind of stuff. And I just want people to, it's my homework for everybody at home is hard. Work out, read, become the best version of yourself. And guess what? It never ends. Like you don't just get to the top of the mountain and then you fall off. You keep getting better until you die, and that's it. And once you stop doing those things, you're not going to feel so good about yourself. So I challenge everyone out there to be the best version of themselves each and every day going forward, because the side effect is very negative when you don't. And that's it.
Thank you very much, man. It was great to talk to you, Alex. Probably you're going to start your day. You had your coffee. You had your words of wisdom already. You're really pumped up. You're fired up.
Yep.
I would really thank you for your time and your energy to hop on my podcast. And I would say to everyone who's listening, sometimes it's really cool to be disorganized, because if you're looking at the organized world, it's really fed up and it's really a big lie that you're living in. So from here, thank you, Alex, again.